So today we're talking with Miranda, who has conquered many of her fears, including working as a file clerk in an accounting firm, sleeping in solitary confinement, stepping in front of a camera, and eating turnip greens. Miranda loves coconut ice cream, and her best party trick is to draw anything you ask. She travels by motorcycle and loves perfume. She has a collection of over 100 scents. So welcome, Miranda.
Hey, welcome, Miranda. So let's start the timer. We got 7 minutes. So tell us about why you're drawn to haunted places.
Well, I've been a paranormal investigator for about 10 years now. Growing up in the Appalachian Mountains, my grandmother was always telling me stories about different locations and different mountain haunts. And so started investigating 10 years ago, and 3 years ago, I started out on my own with my web series Ghost Biker Explorations, where I travel on my motorcycle to different locations all around the country, telling the stories of local legends and lores. The web series actually covers three parts. It covers the travel and talking about, giving details as to why people would want to go to this location, and then the story as to why I'm there, and then also the investigation to see if we can determine whether the location is haunted.
That's so cool. And all of these journeys, have you met someone interesting? Is there somebody that stands out in your experience?
Several, because I have traveled all over. You meet different cool people that run these locations, as well as some of the different spiritual entities that we've found that inhabit these locations. Done. Some of them are just rumors and stories that are passed down, like the nurse at Waverly Hills. I believe we did encounter her when we were investigating, to the more darker entity that is at Revenant Acres that lives in the upper level known as 7. I've spent the night at several different prisons and have actually made contact with some of the different famed prisoners that's been housed at these locations as well. We've been able to establish communication.
Oh my goodness. This is all just so fascinating to me. I'm just
Yeah.
excited. My skin's like, yeah, this sounds cool. So is there an unexpected story you want to share of something that happened to you on one of these journeys that, tell us about that.
Yeah, a lot of the time, because I am traveling on the bike, I've got to keep everything light as far as the equipment that I use. And one of the techniques that I will do at some of these locations is I will actually sleep at those locations. And I spent some time sleeping at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, which is known as End of the Line in Petros, Tennessee. I slept in the solitary confinement cells, which are also known as the hole. They're literally down in this dark area. They would put the worst of the worst prisoners in there when they would misbehave. And I ended up, I'll investigate. Most investigations usually run 8 to 12 hours. And I had spent the last 3 hours sleeping in that area. And I got what I would consider to be about 3 minutes and 15 seconds of Class A EVP, which are electronic voice phenomenons. I set the camera on me while I slept, as well as an audio recorder, and I actually had something tell me night after I had been asleep for probably, I guess, maybe 30 minutes to an hour. A lot of disembodied voices. We even caught something that sounded like somebody throwing a ball against the wall. When I do these locations, I either investigate by myself or with a camera guy that will follow me. So, it's really cool when you go, and being a female in this particular location at Brushy Mountain, there were no other men on the premises. And so to actually be able to catch some man speaking and walking heavy while I was there sleeping was pretty incredible to me, because there were no men on the property.
Wow. So yeah, it really
Yeah.
feels real. Amazing. So I imagine, because we talked a little bit about kind of what got you to started with this, I imagine that there's like a whole community of people like this. Is there a community of folks that travel and do this that other folks who are interested could connect with?
There are. It's a whole other industry, subculture, if you will, known as paranormal tourism. And what's been really cool about all this is it's really brought awareness to a lot of these different historic locations and really aided in the preservation and restoration as well. Because a lot of these locations that we visit, they are also open for daytime tours covering the historical aspect. So there is a whole other community of folks who are paranormal investigators that travel along and will go and they'll, tell the history of these places. There's if you get on YouTube, there are a lot of them. They do a lot of different web series and such that really have done a lot to bring awareness to these different locations.
Very cool.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So are there suggestions for someone who wants to do this as well on their own, or any tips?
Absolutely. There's, like I said, of it being a whole industry out there, there's a lot of different tools and gadgets that people can use. My recommendation is, because I do have to keep it simple and small, you are your best tool. And so anyone who's interested, I would suggest, if you think you're experiencing paranormal activity, or if you want to visit somewhere such as Savannah or St. Augustine that just has a rich paranormal history, I would recommend getting a good voice recorder, just a simple Sony dictation recorder, and having a good digital camera or audio camera, a video camera as well. And just go spend time, research the history, ask questions, and have an open mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have a place that you want to go next? I mean, is there something on your list where you've never been and it's on your list to go?
I do. There are a lot, actually. I would really like to go to the Villisca Axe Murder House in, I believe it's in Iowa, I think. And, there's just so many all around the country. And one of my specialties are locations that aren't necessarily commercial, that, every town, I always say every town has a ghost story. And I challenge anyone to take a map, close your eyes, and put your finger on that map. There's not a single town or location that doesn't have some type of neat legend or history that may be world known or regionally known. You can, a lot of the time it's just in your own back door. There's a lot of really awesome places out there.
Right. And so I imagine in that community you're talking about, that's where you hear about these places and so forth, right? Different. You haven't heard of. Oh, there we go. We managed to make it to our 7 minutes. I'll turn this off. Oh, and April has frozen, so I'm going to keep talking. That's our 7 minutes. And thanks, Miranda, for joining us so much. You can click below to subscribe and hear more stories and travel with us through real stories and real people. So thank you very much for sharing your stories, Miranda.
Thanks, Miranda. That was fabulous.
Yeah.
Yay.